Hey everybody, welcome back. So now we're gonna actually start building our API, and yeah, let's do this thing. Okay, so basically we're just gonna create a basic notes app. Okay, so all we really need is to create a notes model. So I'm gonna go to model. I'm gonna create another file, model.js. I will just copy all this to save myself some time. So in this case, it's going to become the notes schema. So again, if you didn't watch me make this originally, that was in the video, the first auth video. If you look at my auth express video, I'll put this all in like one playlist called like a React Express playlist to make this easier to find. Okay, so we'll call this notes schema because it's going to be the schema for notes. So notes schema, and notes will have a username. Because what I'd like to do is I'd like to tie the user's stuff to their username so that way when they log into their account, they only see their stuff. Okay, and we'll see how we do that in a little bit. So I want a username, and then I want the note, which is going to be a string. Okay, and it's not going to be required, it doesn't have to be unique, it's just a note. Timestamps are true, that's fine. Okay, we want a note model, a note collection in our database, which is using the note schema, and we're going to call this note. And then we'll export note. And there you go. We have our note model. Okay, really simple. Not doing anything crazy with it. But you could do more things, other than just a note. But again, this is just always a simple way to start. Okay, so I'll save this. Bum 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 bum. Let me think about this. Okay, so we did that. That's fine with me. Now next, what I want to do is I want to create controllers. Okay, so we're going to create a new file for notes.js for our notes routes. I will copy sort of the basics of this, and I'll have to get rid of some of it. We don't need, I'm not going to need this. I don't need, actually I may need the user. I don't need JWT and bcrypt. I do need router. I don't need this anymore, but I do need to bring in the note model equals require actually I don't think I need the user model. I'll just comment it out for now. Require dot slash models slash did I call it model.js? I did. Let me rename that to note.js. Keep things consistent. Okay. Notes. Okay. Cool. I don't really need any of this for the moment. So I can delete all these routes. And I do need the auth route because I don't want people accessing their notes unless they are logged into their account. So let's bring in that auth middleware. So const auth equals require dot slash auth slash, actually I can just do auth because again I have to go one folder up because it's all relative to where I'm at, because again that auth middleware is here in auth, so I have to go up from the controllers folder back into the backend folder and then go back down to the auth folder. Now since the file is called index.js, I don't have to specify that. That's just a thing with index. So in that case, I can just import the folder and it'll automatically import the index.js in that folder. So that's all fine and good. Cool. So now we can start building our routes. First, we want to build our index route. Again, that's going to get all the things. Okay, so we're going to do router dot get slash router dot get slash rec. Well, we need to put the auth middleware first. Rec res. Okay, rec res. And if we do rec res, what I can do is just want to get everything. So we can just first put a try catch block, because I'm going to use a sync await. So actually, let me make this an async function. So again, I just find it easier. Okay, and then again, so generally when you use async await, you want to have a try catch block, because there's no other way to catch errors with async await. So you just create, it's the same boilerplate every time. So this is, you know, gets catch, and then catch is just going to be, we're going to res dot status, so we're sending it back a 400 status dot JSON, and we're sending back the error as JSON. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this 4 times, because we're going to be doing this for 4 routes, and that try catch block doesn't change, and the rest of it doesn't change much. So this is a good starting place for as I do the other routes. Cool. And then in here, all we want to do is that technically in rec.payload, we should have the username and the expiration of the token. So I want to go get that username. So I'm going to say const username. So I'm going to destructure that username from equals rec.payload. Okay, because if you watched my auth videos, what our auth middleware does is going to check for that JWT token, take the payload from the token, which includes the username, and store it in this object called rec.payload. Okay, so that's being added before this function runs. So we have that to use, which is going to make our life a lot easier. So our routes, as long as the person's been authenticated, we are aware of what their user is. That's very nice. Okay. So then after that, we can just say, I want to res.json 200, because that means everything went fine. Oh, no. I have res.status 200.json. It's always good to be explicit. And what I want to do is send back the result of searching for all the notes of that user. So we're going to say await note.find. And we're just searching for all the notes for users with that username. So this will search for all the notes with users of that username, because that's what this query object does. It says, hey, find people who match this. And since this username is already called username, this variable, I can just put it in the object. That's a shorthand for objects. If the variable that you're passing into the object has already got the same name as the key that you want, you could just literally plop the variable in there. You don't have to do like username, username, because it's just redundant. So it'll know that, okay, take the username as the key and take the value of the variable as the value in the object. It's just a nice shorthand. Cool. And then again, since I'm using await, it will wait for that to complete. So that's good. We're done. Okay. And I think I'm going to be doing this pretty much every time. So let me just copy these 2 lines too, because this is generally going to be the same. Okay, so this is going to be our create route, where we create a user. So that's going to be a post route. Okay, and let me just add this here. Const username. The only difference here is that the user is only going to submit the note. They're not going to submit the username. I'm going to add the username. So what I'm going to do is to say rec.body.username equals username. Okay. So that way now the rec.body should have the note, which they should have submitted as JSON, and I add the username. So that way when we create the new user, so then I go over here and change this to create. and then I'm just passing in rec.body. That's it. Cool. Easy peasy. So I pretty much want to repeat that logic for update. Okay, so rec.payload, rec.body.username equals username. That's fine with me. So in that case, then here we just do dot find by ID and update. And then that means we need to get the ID of the object that's being updated. Okay. And let me think about that for a second. Do I want to do that? Yeah, that's fine. Okay. So we put the ID there as a param. Okay, and I want to destructure that ID because I don't want to be typing in rec.params.id so many times and it just looks messy. So I'm going to say const ID equals rec.params because ID should be hanging out in that rec.params object. Again, this is not an Express lesson. This is just showing you a build. So if you haven't watched my Express videos, go check my Intro to Express playlist. Okay, so basically whatever part of the URL is here will be stored in this ID variable that I'm going to be pulling out of rec.params. So then we find by ID and we update by passing in the rec.body. There we go. So that's done. And then we do this. Okay, and again, let me just make sure this is supposed to be a put route. So let me update these. This is going to be the update route. And this gets a put verb. And this is the delete route. This gets a delete verb. And neat. Let's see here. Const username. Off. Async. Rec res. That's all good to me. Do I need the username? Not necessarily. I really just need the ID. Okay, I mean, if I wanted to be extra, what I would do is I'd first pull the item, check that the username matches the authentication username, and then do the thing. You know, that way no one goes in like Postman and tries to delete other people's stuff from Postman, but you know, you deal with one thing at a time. Let's just get this working first. So this is just basically what this does. It pulls the ID from the URL, so I have to add the param. Okay. Pulls the ID from the URL and then deletes the item by that ID. Okay, and we don't need a rec.body here because we're not updating it or creating a new one. We're just deleting it. So we just specify which one to delete, and it deletes it. Cool. So I hit save there. And yeah, our API is done. Okay, so there, we've done it. We've created all 4 routes. So then the next step is to bring in this router to our server.js. So what I'm going to do is go to app.use, but the problem is I need to actually import it first. So let's go back over here. I'll import it with my other router. Const, we'll call this the note router, equals require dot slash controllers slash notes. Okay, so that gets the router. So we want to say that anytime someone goes to a URL that starts with /note, okay, that's going to go to the note router. Okay. Cool. Save. Now let's test this out. Okay, so let's do npm run dev. I need to open up Postman. So for me, I have to do this to open up Postman. Okay, So Postman, first we actually have to create a user. So I'm going to do auth/signup body. Okay, there we create the user. So I'm going to hit send. Error, cannot get, oh, it's posts. Again, these are post requests to sign up and log in. There we go. So there's our user with our hashed password. That's wonderful. Now that user has to log in. Okay, same data. I put the username and password when I post to the login route. And again, these routes were created in the Express Auth API videos. So watch those if you want to understand how this part worked. Okay, so we get our token back from authentication. This needs to be added to the header. So I'm going to go replace this with my stuff. Okay, good. So now I should be able to use the note routes. So we go to note / first we'll do a create. So we'll do post. We're going to create a note. And I only need to pass in the note because again, it's going to figure out what the user is from the token. So this is a note. So it worked. See, it created the note. See, we got the ID number. That's how we know it worked. Let's just do a couple more. This is a note 2. That's interesting. Oh, I know what we did. Okay. Here's what I did. And you think I would know not to make this mistake again, because I've made it before. So if I go to notes, look what I did. I said that the username has to be unique. That doesn't work, because the same user can have many notes. So every note can't have a unique username. So I need to take that off. I want it to be required, but I don't want it to be unique. I only want it to be unique in the user model, not in the notes model. So that's why it didn't let me add that second item. So I have to, I mean, technically I could just drop the database. To speed things up, I'm just going to literally just call this React Notes 2. That's now working with a fresh database, so I have to do all the things again. But now it should be working. So let's just test that out. Okay, so first I got to log in. So let me just do that in a separate tab. So http://www.localhost 3000 auth signup body. Okay, that's perfect. Yeah, let's do that. Okay, so I got my username. Let's post that over to login so we can log in. There's my token. Let me copy over my new token over to this tab. So let me go back over here and change my authorization header to have the new token. Good. That way it knows I exist. And let's go back to our body. First, let's re-add note. There, note was added successfully. Then let's add note 2. That was good. That's added successfully. Note 3. That was added successfully. Good. Now let's see if I get all the notes when I go do the get to that. Oh, good. Look, I get my array of all my notes. That works. Now let's take an ID. I'll take the ID of note 3. And let's see if I can update the note. So we add / here. This is going to be a put route. And we're going to change this to note 4. And let's see if that happens. Cool. Now by default, Mongo only sends you the old version of the object. To fix that, what you do is, which is a really silly default, but I go to notes, and then where's the update one? Here it is. There's a third argument you can pass in that's a config object. Okay. And I think, yeah, this property here, new, has to be true. Okay. And then that should do it. Save. So I'm going to update it again. So let's update it to 5 and see if it returns me the one. If I successfully changed it, it'll return me this is a Note 5. If not, it'll return me the old version, which is this is a Note 4, because we just changed it. And it works good. So adding that one object with the new property allows it to send you the new version of the object instead of returning the old version. Okay, now let's try to delete this one because now it's all out of order. So if I hit delete, yep, it deleted that one. So just to make sure it was deleted, let's see if we still see it when I get all of them. And there we go. Now let's try creating a different username. So I'll say Alex Merced 1. Okay, log in. Let's actually want to go back to sign up. Just to make sure that one user can't see another user's stuff. Alex Merced 1, good. Then we'll log in. Good, I take my token. Okay, I want to update my that. And let's go back to get. But now when I get with this token should have a different username inside of it. So it shouldn't get all of Alex Merced's notes, it should get Alex Merced 1's notes. And it gets me an empty array because Alex Merced 1 doesn't have any notes. Okay, so it works. Okay, it does what we want it to do. Cool. So in that case, our API works. So let's just do some basic save. So I think we're all set here. So I will end this video here. The next video will begin with the React application. Because again, this is all set up. So, boop.